folks. That's Mike Barzakini, and I'm here again. It's my pleasure to be here again with musician and artist Ruth Ward, who's visiting East Dundee to play in Duke's Blues and Barbecue Festival on Saturday in Carpentersville. Yes, thank you. I was getting there in Carpentersville. It's moved over this year from East Dundee to Carpentersville, so it's on a bigger stage, bigger venue. We're looking forward to going out and supporting Duke with some great music and enjoying the good food that's there. So Ruth, welcome.
Mike, it's a pleasure to talk to you and to talk to anybody that's willing to listen to me.
Well, I think you have a lot of folks that want to listen to you. So this is you've been to East Dundee and you visited this area multiple times.
Right.
But this is your second year coming back specifically for Duke's Blues and Barbecue Festival.
Right.
You played last year in East Dundee. What do you remember about last year's festival?
Last year's festival was my first time doing a blues festival, and it was great, and just meeting other musicians and things like that. And I had a really good time. I felt real comfortable, and even though I'm not a real bluesy type singer, but the people made me feel good, and I just had a really good time. And I'm really thankful that Duke remembered me and said, "Hey, you want to do it again?" I said, "Yeah, love it."
So you played with a group of musicians, one of whom you knew really well. You go back with Chris Knight.
Chris Knight,
played together many times. But then you had some other guys on stage who were really talented, but you kind of just met them a day or two before the show.
Exactly.
What was that experience like, and maybe contrast playing with someone that you played with many times before with someone that was with a group of people that were kind of new to play with you?
Well, to be honest, that is my cup of tea. Playing with somebody for the first time, and you feel that energy, especially if they're really good musicians. You don't have to say, if you just say that's in the key of G, they know where you're going. And compared to someone who's not that well versed in chords and things. But I love that. I've always liked that. Now, when I was with Madison Ward and the Mama Bear, we practice and you do all that stuff. And I like that too. It's called be a discipline. But I think part of me is not that disciplined. And so I just really enjoy, because you get, sometimes you do something and it's really good, and then the second time you do it is not as good. And that's what you get when you just, hey guys, come on, it's in the key of G, let's go. And they feel it, and you feel it, and they connect with your energy. And
that spontaneity.
Yeah, very much so.
I can't remember the groups or the producers, but I've heard stories where they would have a band in the studio, and the band thought they were rehearsing, but they were rolling tape, and they would often take what the band thought was a rehearsal cut, and they'd often take that for the album.
That is so true, because that's when you really get the real thing. It's when you have to do it the 50th time that you just kind of like,
Well, the sound was good last year, and I have many fond memories of you performing last year at the festival. But
Thank you.
One of my favorite was the rendition that you and the fellows did of "Knocking on Heaven's Door." I thought you really knocked that out of the park, and people really responded to that. So.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite songs.
Well, I'm not putting a plug for that to be on the set list this year, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciated it last year. Talk about the set list. You were saying that you're close, but you mentioned about how your tastes are eclectic, your approach to developing your set list is eclectic. Talk a little bit about that and what goes into. You don't need to disclose what's going to be on the list, but what it takes for you to develop a set list for a show like Saturdays.
Well, you want to be able to affect people's emotions and feelings. You want them to be glad that they're there. You want them to have times where they might want to get up, dance a little bit, and then there's times where they just want to ponder and think and get into it. So it's an emotional experience. That's what you have. And I'm not this crazy rocker or anything like that, but I'm just Ruth with an opinion, And I just think people will have a good time. I really do.
You really like to see your music and the songs that you choose to perform as an opportunity to make a connection with people in the audience. Is that right?
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Almost like you're playing for each person individually.
Right? Exactly.
And that's what I saw last year when I watched the crowd. They were really into what you were delivering. So.
And I'm hoping this time that they really will feel it even more. That's what I'm excited because your wife Susan's going to play with me. She's going to play the tambourine and be a part of the energy up there. And I think people will experience that energy, and I'm real excited about that.
I agree. I agree. So, talk a little bit about how you've come to know the gentleman who this
Duke.
festival is named, Duke, Mr. Duke. Yeah. How talk about your connection with Duke and how you came to play at the festival last year
Well,
and now this year.
I met Duke about what? Let's see, maybe 6 years ago, maybe.
Sounds about right.
We did my son and I did a concert in Chicago, and he came, and there was just an instant connection. It's almost like family. I don't know why, but that's just how it felt. And we've just always, every time I come to town, we get together and at his barbecue place and whatever, and we had a lot of talks and all, and he's just an incredible person. And I don't want to, make him to be like Superman or anything, even though he probably sometimes want to be Superman. But he's just an incredible person, and it's just neat. When you meet those kind of people.
And his whole family is like that. It just
Yeah.
extends to everybody in his
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
And he definitely, I think, without, I'm not going to speak for Duke, but I think he feels the same way about you, and that's one
Well,
of
thank
the
you.
reasons he goes out of his way to make sure you're part of this festival. So
Mm.
it's great that you're back here for the second year. There'll be great music, not only yourself, but 2 full days of bands.
Hmm.
There'll be some really great food.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'm looking forward to checking out what the atmosphere's going to be like in Carpentersville Park. So let's make a little transition from music to art,
Okay.
because I happen to know that there are 6 blank canvases in this house that
Mhm.
you may have plans for. What can
Mhm.
you tell me about what you're working on now with your art?
Well, those 6 blank canvases came from you, Mike, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to be putting black primitive art on those canvases, and I'm really excited. Before I just put them on, the black primitive was just on rocks. And as a matter of fact, Susan turned me on to rock painting. Your wife turned me on to rock painting, and I've been painting on rocks ever since. But I do also paint on canvases, but this is the first time that I'm going to put the black primitive art on the canvases, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. And when it's all said and done, I will be doing a 9x12 of black. And the killer is, you want to know the killer?
What's the killer?
Is when I paint these paintings and do these things, part of me, it's hard to sell them because I want to give them away to friends. And Susan will say, "Hey, I love that. It's almost like your name is on it. You got it." And I got to learn how not to do that.
Well, or at least balance it, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
gotta
I'm gonna
balance.
make these to share with friends and family. I'm gonna make these to put a price tag on.
It's hard, but I do have to
because
do that.
even starving artists have to eat, right?
Yeah,
Ruth?
that's true. I don't think I'm missing any meals, but you're right about that, Mike. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's hard. I happen to know a jewelry artist who's very close to me who I think has some of those same challenges
Mhm,
between
mhm.
selling and gifting. So I
Yeah.
think it's one of those things that a lot of artists struggle with.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have a couple of art engagements coming up, right? Some
Right.
shows. What can you tell us
I
about
have
those?
one is going to be June the 19th. It's called Juneteenth. And I think it's a black celebration or something. But they want me to be a part of that a show at this farmers market.
That's in Independence,
It's
Missouri.
in Independence, Missouri, and I will be selling my art there. And then there's a friend of mine who works for this corporation in Kansas City. In September, I'll be selling a lot of my art there. And I just love letting people into to knowing me as an individual. And like I told you before, I'm an eclectic person. So, you know.
Well, and it sounds like you practice your art and your music with a similarity to kind of make that connection
Right.
with the person viewing your art or
Mhm.
the person in the audience that you're playing for. So it's
Right.
about connecting with people and
Exactly. And when somebody can take a piece of my art and it produces a feeling inside of them, then I say, you did it. You connected. And that's important to me. Is the connection. And not only with art, but with my friends. The connection I have with you and Susan, the connection I have with Duke, the connection I have with different people I've met. I love the connection, And it just soothes my soul.
Well, I mean, not even the people. You've got a growing fan base in this area from people, friends of ours who heard you play last year, and they're looking forward. They've been bugging me. What time is Ruth playing? What day is Ruth playing this year? But even people that you just happen to meet that may not even know you're a musician or an artist, you've met like at our depot market.
Right.
You've come enough times that there's folks that you've connected with. I know there's one woman who makes buttons, and you and she kind of hit it off pretty well, and so I think that's not just your music and your art, but just in your daily life. You really all are about making connections with people, and that's real genuine connections, and that's very cool.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just love people, and they mean a lot to me.
Well,
And,
people love you.
well, and I just love being here in Dundee and with your family, and I love, I've never been to Carpentersville. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's like, and I'm myself. I don't know how to be anybody else. I just gotta be me.
Well, I want to backtrack just real quickly. When you get those details about the Juneteenth festival that you're going to be at, and also your fall festival, it was a diversity festival this corporation's
Correct,
having.
correct.
Please let us know, and we'll share those details out.
Okay, great.
People might be in the Independence or Kansas City area.
That's true.
Want to get a look at Ruth's art, so that would be very cool.
Okay, that sounds great. I love it.
So I have to ask you, when
Don't scare me.
when you come and visit, there's often rock painting that goes on in this house. You and Susan both. I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of your rocks, treasure them, and I have a couple of Susan's rocks. They're all prized possessions. But I know that one of the things you both always try to work up to while you're here is painting these rocks. You've done it once, had a great adventure, and hiding them or placing them all about East and West Dundee, and now maybe you'll do that include Carpentersville too, since you're going to be there. Are we going to get any rock painting and rock hiding done on this trip?
I think we'll probably get some rock painting done on this trip. As far as hiding, we got to cross that bridge when we get to it, because I don't know. There's just a lot of things that are going on. But the neat thing, Mike, that means I have to come back.
Absolutely. We're
Come
counting
back
on
for
it.
a
We're
visit
counting on it.
Before it gets too cold.
And we'll have to document when the placing of the rocks around town does occur. We'll have to document that. So if folks want to go out and try to find a Ruth Ward or a Susan Barzakini rock, they can go out and take a look for one.
That's a good idea.
Well, we've talked about music. We've talked about the Blues Festival, which is coming up this Saturday. I'm going to try to get this edited and posted before that happens, so folks can hear about it. Maybe come on out. We'll put details about the festival and what time you play in the description. We've talked about your painting, your upcoming festivals. We've talked about rocks. I've chided you a little bit about when you might get those rocks hidden. Good answer. What else haven't we talked about that you want to share with folks?
Basically, I think we covered pretty much everything. I'm thankful that I can be a part of your family as well as Duke's, and you guys have been really, really kind, and that's good. It feels good. It just, I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it. Whatever you're doing it right.
Well, we're grateful, and I'll speak for Susan. I think I can do that in this case. We're grateful for your place in our lives, and we're really glad that you're part of our family, and we're always enriched with every visit. So this time is no exception, and we've got a lot more family coming in town in the next week or so.
I know.
So
I can't wait.
It's one of the reasons you're not going to get any rock hiding done, probably.
I know.
So,
I get to meet some members of your family.
maybe we'll get them involved in painting some rocks.
Hey, that'll be great. Yeah.
you and Susan can hold a rock painting camp.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little rock painting. Yeah, I've done that before. So yeah.
Well, Ruth, I treasure these conversations. We have a lot more conversations that don't make it on to recording, but I love being able to capture some of those and share them with people. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to sharing this little conversation with folks in the next day or two.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you for your time and your patience and putting up with me.
Now get that set list done.
Okay, now. I will.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thanks, buddy.